Okay, so the title of this presentation. Okay, hello. Everyone speak English? Turn English is better. Okay, if there is some words missing, we'll try. Okay. So the title is France in Bible prophecy and history. So what is interesting that there is a lot of things. What can we just? Pas grave si je joue un peu. Un peu de.
Oui, mais ça fait un courant.
Ah.
Mais je crois que peut-être le premier quart d'heure, c'est peut-être mieux de laisser ça ouvert et ensuite on va changer.
Okay, so there is a lot of things regarding France, regarding history and either regarding prophecy. So we will have a glimpse, an overview of both. So what is interesting is when you see the skies, sometimes we don't understand that only 40% of inhabitants of our planet cannot see the Milky Way, simply because of artificial lighting that prevents them from contemplating it at night. But would it be possible that we will have the same, that it can be a parable, that we see sometimes we see the whole skies with all the stars, but it's only a few parts of things. Would it be possible? It will be the same regarding God's history and God's prophecy. So we will try to give a short answers. When we take just two verses, Matthew 28, verse 19, Jesus gives this order to his disciples. Go ye therefore and teach all nations. And in Acts chapter 1, verse 8, he states that both in Jerusalem and in all Judea, Samaria, and unto the uttermost part of the earth. What is this last sentence? What was the conception of the disciples regarding the uttermost part of the earth? Was it only Jerusalem, only Judea, and some neighboring countries? We will see that it will be far more. Yes.
But they have to start with the family.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Then
I'm
church.
Exactly. And it was very important for them to stay there.
Mm-hmm.
Before preaching, they have to stay together. They have to stay receiving the Holy Spirit. And after, they increase the circle. But what is interesting is that the circle go far beyond what we can sometimes imagine.
Excuse me, they said someone is up here that needs medical help. Is that somebody here?
No.
Okay.
Okay, so that's it what we said. So when we take the different churches, we see how they spread through history. And what is interesting is that France also was touched from the first church until the last one. And so this is something very interesting. If you want, I can send you after the PDF.
Oh, that was
Of the whole presentation. Okay, we continue. Okay. So what is interesting, if you take only Paul missionary journeys, you can see here on the map, and okay, and you have also here the date, the letter, and where he was going. And here on the BBC you have a documentary made in the footsteps of Saint Paul. And what is interesting, it says that Saint Paul wrote 13 of the 27 books of the New Testament and traveled over 10,000 miles. Wow, crazy, by foot only, 10,000 miles. It's incredible. So we continue. So there was also something that helps the gospel spread. It is called the Roman road, okay? It helps also to go faster, thanks to this. And other things, long before, 400 years before Christ, you have the Celtic world that increased. And this Celtic world started, of course, in Great Britain, but it spread until Galatia. Okay, you can find here, from here to Galatia. And why is it important? We will see in a few seconds. Okay, we continue. Here you have a book written and says that with all the fiery nature of the Celtic race, they had invited and subdued Italy and sacked Rome in the 4th century before Christ. Not satisfied with this success, they broke into Asia Minor and settling there became the founders of the province of Galatia. First interesting quotation. And what is interesting, when John was settled in the island of Patmos, he was in touch with the members of Galatia and he trained them. And why is it important? Because he trained the members of Galatia, of the church of Galatia, which trained themselves France directly. And we will see in a few seconds. So about 70 years after the death of the Apostle John, the churches in southern France suffered a terrible persecution. The distressed believers in 177 sent a pathetic account of their affliction, not to Italy, but to Galatia. Wow. Because they were in touch, directly in touch with Galatia. Okay? So it's proof, we have a lot of proof for it. And so these people were arrested, put in these places during the reign of Marcus Aurelius, because Christianity was illegal, and believers through the Roman Empire faced a threat of imprisonment, torture, and death. And then a young man stand before the Roman governor, his life hanging in the balance, and he said nothing else that I am a Christian. His accusers pressed him again, hoping to trip him up and force him to recant. But once more he answers with the same short phrase, I am a Christian. This famous man is well known, his name is Sanctus. We have a lot of documents of Sanctus and also the other believers who went with him in this place. He said no other things than I am Christian. No matter what the question was, Sanctus, Blandine, Maturus, all Christians died this day because of the faith. Okay? So one writer who made a special research in Oriental history says the Christianity which first reached France and England, that is Gaul and Britain, was of the school of whom? Of the Apostle John, who ruled the churches in Asia Minor and therefore of the Greek, not of the Latin type. Very important. Okay? Here is, you have also another quotation. In order to understand the situation, political, ecclesiastical in southern France, we must bear in mind that the Gauls of the west and the Galatae of the east were of the same stock, and that each branch, through several nations, intervened, retained, unimpaired its racial characteristic, etc., etc. So you have the original quotation. So also another quotation who confirms this. So I made since 20 years researches on finding all the original in history. I spent hundreds of hours in library finding original, and to have the first-hand documents in it, because it is important. Because when you quote something, if you don't have the original, sometimes it can be misquoting, or you don't have the exact words. Okay? So Tertullian became Christian around 190. In his book, Answer to the Jews, wrote and confirmed this, that the gospel spread in Spain and diverse nations of the Gauls. So he confirms this. Here is, you have an history timeline. Okay. What is interesting, so you have Polycarp, who was John's disciple, and you have also Eusebius, who made a confirmation of what we just said for France. And you have also here, you have Jovinian, you have Vigilantius, you have St. Patrick, all connected with France. Okay, so we have a lot of testimonies from this. Okay, here we enter in the second presentation. It's just an overview, so regarding prophecy. You have here a timeline with, we know this date, it's 538. You have the 1260 days of persecution. You have here very interesting connection with France. Here also, Inquisition settled in France, and you have in 1229 a Council of Toulouse who forbidden people to have the Bible. It was a question of this. If you have your Bible in France, you were killed. And 4 years after, Inquisition settled in France, in the south of France first, and after spread in whole Europe, but it started in France. Okay. After you have the here the murder in Paris with the Saint Bartholomew, okay, massacre. You have Lisbon earthquake, who has connection with France, we will see, and you have this Revelation 11. This is exactly the fulfillment of Revelation with France. Okay, so you have a lot of connection. Just to show you some. Okay, the first one is the 538. Okay, why is it important? Because we have a lot of documents in French confirming this. Okay, first one. Okay, this is a French book. This is the original. You have the subtitle "Beginning of the Pope's Temporal Domination." Okay, it is exactly what we are looking for, because what happened in 1798? This is the dislocation of the temporal power. So that means that at the beginning of the 1260, we have the settle of the temporal power, and it is exactly what it is said in this Catholic book. And what happened? Vigilius settled not in 538, in 537, 1 year before. But what happened? At the same time, you have two popes. Vigilius killed the other one in 538, and Vigilius is considered as the first assassin, murderer, thank you, or the first pope who murdered someone. And through this murder, he had full power with Justinian, with also Justinian decree. So this is a very important event there. Okay, so we continue. We know also with Daniel 11 that we have the 1260, but also the 1290. The 1290 started 30 years before 538. Sometimes we see that, okay, why is it important? This is a very important event, the 508, because what's happened, here is a very important book in French, who says that there is two major events in the life of Clovis. His baptism, of course, and 508. Why? Wow. So, okay, we will see. Because at that time he received the most important title in the Roman Empire. It was the title of consul. And this title gave him full authority. So we have the confirmation here. And continue, I go fast, okay. Confirmation also here. And why is it important? Because he received a coat as a symbol of this title. And what's happened? He gives a coat to the papacy. So you have a transfer. He received something in 508, and he gives this transfer after to the papacy. Wow, crazy. Very important. So this is official document, okay? So you have this guy, Ellen White mentions this person, Louis Gossen, who started to study Daniel prophecy in Geneva. And also he understands the 1444 prophecy. He has written, I have the original, he has written books. You have maybe more than 100 pages on the study of Daniel. And he has written this small book, which is a beautiful analysis of why the Pope is the Antichrist. So this is an important document, okay? Also, this is an official document from a Catholic historian who says that in what happened in 1798, this is the end of the 1260, but what's happened? And here is the title, Destruction of the Holy See. He confirms that the dislocation of the Pope's temporal state, we are in a temporal thing. The beginning is temporal, the end is temporal. We have the confirmation only with two Catholic authors. Okay, we continue. Oh, crazy. What's happened? So for 1 year, you don't have anymore any Pope in Rome. And the first speech made by the new elected Pope, Pius VII, said, we have seen what? The deadly wound. Wow, he uses the same word in Latin, plagam gravem, that's a prophecy. So they completely understood what's happened. Wow, crazy. This is, I have the original in Latin, okay? So here we have the little horns, the first bit of Revelation 13, the man of sin, the Antichrist, etc., etc. And another thing, which is very important, because I am my ancestors, I have both ancestors as Huguenots and also Chouans. Chouans Catholic were killed during the French Revolution. So, but why is it important? Here, it's the first churches settled in France where you have baptism by immersion. And during more than 700 years, you have proof that baptism through immersion were practiced in France. You have more than 20 churches where you have this proof in France. So it's beautiful. This is one of the most beautiful baptism through immersion. So Jovinian and after Vigilentius in the 4th and 5th century spread the gospel in France in a beautiful manner. And also they were related, connected with the Valencians. Wow. Okay, Patrick also has some connection. I go further. Colomba, after, Irishman was born in Donegal, and both of his parents were of royal stock. He founded a memorable college on the small island of Iona, which was a lighthouse of truth in Europe. You have seen maybe in lineage, you've seen Iona. And what's happened from Iona? They settled 3 different missionaries schools in France, in the Vosges, in a city called Luxeuil. So from there, from Great Britain, they settled a place in France, in Luxeuil. And Luxeuil was destined to become the mother of numerous centers of civilization in Europe. Proved to be the greatest and most influential of the monasteries and schools established by Columbanus. And Luxeuil was connected to Bobbio Pellice in the Valencian valleys. Wow, you have connection. So from Great Britain to France and to the Valencian Valley. Okay, continue. So you have also a lot of beautiful connection with the Albigenses. We have now a lot of documents showing that it was true Christians. So it's another part we can study for 2 hours. This document is very interesting. You have this book in English. It's the history of the Valdenses of Jean-Claude Perrin. So this is the French version, and what he said that here, that regarding the place in France where Valencians were settled, they have a lot of names. And in the north of France, and also in Belgium, they have the name Turlupin. And here, this is the original document from 1420. 1420, what's happened? In the north of France, in this city called Arras, 7 persons were arrested. They were Turlupin, so Valdenses. What's happened? In this document, they say that these Valdenses were Sabbath keepers. Wow, beautiful. So we have proof, because sometimes people are criticizing Ellen White's inspiration, saying that Valdenses kept Sabbath. We have confirmation of it. She was fully inspired, and when she showed something, it is because the Lord has showed her the exact document she needs to put forward. So we have a lot of connection and a lot of confirmation of Ellen White's inspiration regarding history. Okay, so I go forward. And also regarding Valdensians, I have the original old document with the Antichrist Treaty written by the Valdenses. Why is it important? Because here, Monsieur Jean Léger, so this is a French commentary on Revelation, and in the beginning of this book, he introduced the way Valdensian has understood Revelation. And what he said is very important for us today. He says that Jean Léger, in his history of the Valdensians, reports that the prophecies of Revelation relating to the mystical Babylon were known to them, and that they applied them without hesitation to the papacy. That was their deep conviction of the correctness of this application that preserved them in the time of the absolute domination of the mystery of iniquity. So the understanding of the valencies of who was the papacy, who was the Antichrist, preserves them from errors. So we never have to forget this. Because if we forget this, we are in a big trouble. Okay? So here is something interesting. So most of people know Torre Pellice. Okay? So before it was French name, La Tour. Okay? And after it became Italian, so they changed the name. But for centuries, it was French name. Here is a French border or Italian border. And what people, few people know, that this part, you have a lot of interesting mountains and caves or whatever. I will show you a few. Every year I go there and I bring people with me. So this is the cave of the Valdenses, but on the French side, beautiful. Okay, this is, okay, you take this, this path, and here is the cave. Okay, and you have in this cave the mention that Valdenses were killed. Okay, and this is a view from the cave, and just at the end of the valley, it's beautiful. You have something that is unique in all the Valdensians sites. That is, at the end of this, you have to. Okay, you arrive. Okay, this is another view. Okay, you arrive here, and here you start to walk for 3/4, and you arrive at the top, not of the mountain of the valley. Here is, okay. I do this in May. You know the snow? It was in May.
Wow.
Crazy, beautiful. We have been blessed. It was a beautiful day. And here you have still Valdensian living there. It's in the middle of nowhere. You have no access, only by feet. This site is beautiful.
Are they still living like before?
They're still living like before, with electricity, with etc. Of course, yes. This is a church.
Are they keeping the Sabbath?
No, they have completely forgotten their own history. Okay, we continue. So you have also Saint Bartholomew. I continue. Why this date is important? Why? Because it is described in Revelation. Okay? So it's the 1st November 1755. So it's a sixth seal describing this. Okay? In this book, French book, it says that okay, because why the earthquake didn't hit Rome? Rome was the center of Catholic. No, at that time it was Lisbon. So, okay, it described why, and it was also the center for Inquisition. Okay. This one is interesting. In 1980, the highly respected seismologist classified the Lisbon earthquake as the greatest shock ever suffered. Wow, it's not Atlantis. Wow, crazy. And estimates that it could have maybe it could have be around 9.0 on the Richter scale. So it's wow, very strong. This one is also interesting. This is the original book from a Catholic man who became Protestant and lived in Lisbon, in Portugal. And when he saw the Lisbon earthquake, he understood that it was the will of God. Wow! And he has written this book describing why God has chosen to hit Lisbon. So he had to flee to Great Britain, and then the Jesuits burned his effigy.
Statue. Yeah.
Okay. Crazy.
So what is the name of the book? I'm sorry.
Okay. Discours pathétique.
Discours pathétique?
Discours pathétique sur les calamités présentes. If you want the presentation, I can send you. No problem. So, and other, you have another. Okay, because Lisbon was the center of commercial, of arts, of business, whatever, etc. And this book also, it's not an old book. It's written by the former director of British Museum. Okay, he has written this book on Lisbon earthquake. And what he says is crazy, because on the occasion of the bicentenary of this, okay, he published a book demonstrating that the terrible Lisbon earthquake has put an end to a long period of optimism and open a period of gloom that led directly to the French Revolution. So the sixth seal is related directly to Revelation 11. Wow. And they are connected directly. It's not an Adventist, but he confuses. Beautiful, incredible. Okay, so we arrive on the French Revolution. This guy is Pierre Jurieu. Pierre Jurieu is a Huguenot. Okay? And more than 1 century before the French Revolution, in studying Revelation 11, I have the book also, what he says. In this book, 1686, he says that Revelation 11 is a fulfillment of what? The French Revolution. He fully understood that it was French that was described there. Not only him, I have all this book, all these authors confuse this. You have a lot of books of authors, of person who studies the prophecy, Huguenots, and fully understood this in the same manner, that it was France who was described in Revelation 11. Okay, so I made a presentation in French, of course. So this is the title, France in Bible and Prophecy. And I had more than 5,000 evangelical who have seen it. A lot of connection, beautiful, crazy. Because they're searching there. Okay. And even with a lady, I'm in touch, I'm very good relation with her. She's a former assistant of the French Ministry of Agriculture. Now she's evangelical. And when I have sometimes a video I sent her, immediately she put on a blog and 10,000 connection. Wow. So this is incredible. So it is when the two witnesses have finished their testimony, dressed in bags, that the beast that rises from the abyss kills them. This put an end of this period of 1260. Here is also some confirmation with the Catholic author, with also some other authors. And what is interesting, yes, because this one it's okay. You see the original in Edinburgh magazine. It says that France was the only nation in the world, which is officially. Which was officially opposed to the author of the universe. So this is why Revelation 11 is called France. There is no other explanation. This is the only nations.
I just want to come back, I've got a question prior. Because you mentioned that the precursor to this was the 1755 earthquake.
Yes.
How do you link it to? How one is...
At the origin of the second events, because they tried so much. You know, we know it well in France because Voltaire writes only a book on the Lisbon earthquake, and it opened a big gap, a big.
En français?
Oui, ça a ouvert. Oui, une voie. Ça a permis une brèche.
It's a wedge.
Bridge in all the Catholic system.
Okay.
Because it strikes directly the Catholic, and I will show you another.
Et le siège était à Babylone. Le siège était à Lisbonne.
Le siège de l'église
à cette époque-là.
Voilà, de la papauté.
D'accord.
Ouais.
Okay, so you have some of the quotation on it. So Paris, you have also on different monuments the Feast of Reason in Notre Dame. Okay, we were just there this afternoon. The Feast of Reason in Notre Dame with the Dies Reason. You have a procession, Dies Reason. Okay, and in some churches you still have some mention here.
The goddess.
The goddess Reason. Also here. Okay. Okay, continue. What is interesting for this 3.5 years of what is called in France the reign of the terror? Incredible. So many people were killed. You have the catacomb, and in the catacomb you have full of bones. It's full of bones. And among these people, Protestants, were killed, and true believers who were killed at that time. And what is interesting regarding the shrines, you see this picture? Wow.
They bring it back.
Yes, exactly. So they get back.
So I'm sorry, who is bringing
They
back?
bring it
It was regarding the
yellow.
yellow jacket.
But who is bringing the, I know, I understand, but who is bringing
The guillotine.
the guillotine?
Yellow jacket.
The yellow jacket are
Yes,
bringing it
yes,
back.
For them, it's just to get rid of the leaders.
Yeah, because they want to make a link to the,
Back to
to the
revolution.
French Revolution.
Exactly.
They want to cut the head of the
Exactly.
president.
So this is a link.
Yeah.
And you know, there is type and anti-type.
Are you saying the Gilets jaunes situation is back from revolution story just
I think.
repeating itself?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
But
That's what I get.
maybe you have now a reverse type. Okay? So what I mean by reverse type, you have the first type. That means that after the revolution, you have the deadly wand made by France. But why not? Why not? I insist on it. Imagine that on the healing of the deadly wand, France has a key role, not to do a second deadly wand because there is no, but to be a part in the healing.
The total healing.
And what's happening in the COP21? France has a key role, putting
leaders
in front,
together.
yes, the Pope in the front of the scene.
We need to do something about the planets.
Exactly.
The occasion to gather the leaders.
You know what we are living, what we are seeing now.
Je crois que tu dois expliquer ce que c'est COP.
COP, you know, see COP 21. COP 21, it's
It's
a
an agricultural summit for the
It's a summit to fight against global warming
Yes.
because the planet is
Warming up
dying.
and
So
blah,
let's
blah,
do
blah.
something together, gather around.
And the Pope has got a voice there.
because sometimes we think that Sunday law will be passed with the Vatican directly. We want to Sunday law the Vatican. No. And then one says it's through global climatic crisis and because of the demand of the people.
Yeah.
So it's exactly what we are living now with France. And now the yellow jacket you can see in some countries through Europe.
Yes.
Spain, Belgium, in Scandinavia, etc. etc.
Taking up, huh?
Exactly on the same way.
started in France.
It started in France.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay, so what they have done, they have put the effigy, the image of the president, and they have cut
The
Beheaded.
head of.
the image of the president. Wow.
Beheaded, right?
Yeah, they had it correct.
And what is crazy, so an helicopter was ready to take the president and to lead him out of the Élysée, of the palace of the president, in case of trouble.
So they understand the importance of the crisis that is now happening. They understand it.
Yes,
It's a play.
yes. Okay. Okay, this is a quotation of Ellen White. Made also connection between Saint Bartholomew massacre and the French Revolution, the terror. So there is also very interesting connection between the two. Okay. Prophecy. Okay, so I go forward. Okay, continue. So this is original quotation. But okay. Okay, you have this book. Okay, you have heard of this book?
Okay,
Sodoma. It has been written. It's 4 years researches of a journalist called Frédéric Martel. It's a very serious study. He's homosexual, and all the Vatican opened their doors for him to study from inside. And when they welcoming him, they said officially, "Welcome to Sodoma." Yeah, no, it's I'm not joking. Huh?
I don't know.
You have this book. This book has been printed in different languages and distributed in 18 countries on the same day. I think I have an English version. What he said is also interesting because he says that sometimes regarding homosexuality we think about San Francisco. He said no, it's the Vatican. More than 80% of the priests, archbishops are homosexual. And the one who are the most opposed to homosexuality are the one who are the most living homosexuality. So it's 500-600 pages. It's wow.
But they allow him
Tremendous.
to publish that book?
Yeah, it's you cannot attack him. You cannot attack him. There is no angle.
So I don't understand then what is the point of the Vatican then? Because he's revealing the Vatican.
Yes.
He's exposing them.
Oh yes, and it's make a lot of comment on dit oui, a lot of noise.
Backlash, yes.
Yeah, no. But now I think it's so blatant that they are so much out in the loud. It's people are so blind.
Yes.
We can
Yes.
speak, I can speak in your
Yes.
face, you
Yes.
won't make it.
And there's nothing you can do against it.
True. But also, what happened with what's happening with Notre Dame? You can see you have this book,
Ouais.
you have some scandals with pedophilie, etc.
Tout ça crame, là.
And only one event is able to give to the Vatican a new life. Crazy.
Do
How
you think the
Satan is
Vatican is a
working.
call to answer to that?
Sorry?
Do you think the Vatican burning thing is a call
I don't
to
know.
that?
Non, 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 il n'a
It's
pas
not
dit
You
just
ça.
know something.
Il n'a pas dit ça.
Satan, you know, sometimes we think that people are doing things. No, Satan is directly doing things.
He's the prince of the air.
He's the prince of the air. He's able to do so. Okay, nothing happened by chance.
Une
But
spécialiste, c'est
it
impossible.
happened exactly at the right moment. Okay, that's all. I don't know. Sorry.
I don't know.
I think the question was not whether there are questions about the credibility of the book, but the question was, did the Vatican try to prevent that book to be
No.
published?
No.
Yeah,
No, 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 no.
And if
They-
not,
they-
why?
They can do nothing. This guy has worked for 4 years, and the doors of the Vatican were fully open for him. And even he says that priests were coming to him to have good time with him, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know? Il draguait, je sais pas comment dire en
Ouais, ouais,
Was
bah,
flirting with
Flirting, yes.
But
Priests were flirting with him.
why would the Vatican do that? This is why I don't understand. Because they want to have a good image,
Right.
right? Why would they do
Chris-
that? Why would they
No,
allow
but I
that?
think
Because
Christophe.
Yes, that's the reason.
Christophe mentioned the pride of Babylon. So we could understand that now there is no shame. Pridefully, it's basically boasting about its
Openly.
situation and if I dare say, telling you, what can you do about it? We are saying it, so what else? And I think we are at this point also.
You know what's happened with Assange in
Right.
Great Britain?
Yes.
Okay, you have seen the
Ouais.
news?
Yeah.
Why now? Why now? And not months, weeks, or years before? There is only one thing you can read Fortune,
Vatican leaks.
Vatican leaks. Fortune put the connection because he put documents, very sensitive documents, into the public domain, and it was the document with the Vatican. And Fortune, and we have in France some newspaper who connects the two, because he criticized the Vatican, immediately
he's out.
out.
I mentioned that if this book would have been published 50 years ago,
Yeah.
it would have been a totally different situation.
Exactly
It would not
right.
be
Exactly.
published.
You-
But today our
She's
brain
right,
is
guy.
so much damaged
Yes.
all over
Can't be worth it.
that they're not afraid.
What's the
Exactly.
difference? Yeah?
But this is a huge challenge for us, because you have in the Catholic Church beautiful people who are asking, but what's happened? Now it's our goal to put great controversy and books showing what's going inside, and that this church will never change. You can forget it. It will never change. It cannot change because it's not based on the Bible. So,
Opportunity, huh?
okay, I'll just go forward. So So inside of the conflict with the yellow jacket was the tax on fuel. Okay, what's happened also on the what's also interesting in this article, the link between church and state. Macron is accused to go to threaten laicity.
New laicity.
What is
Yeah,
that?
the separation between.
The separation between the church and state.
Yes.
So okay, here you will see, Macron wants to repair the link between Catholic Church and state.
He's going to bring them back to
Repair the bridge. What Telemann says,
Yeah, I
there is a bridge to be repaired.
Yeah.
Like Trump.
And Macron is wants to rebuild this.
So the Gilets jaunes is from God then.
His statement when Notre Dame was built, we will build it again.
Yes.
As
Oh,
a
yeah.
nation, this is our fate, our
Yes.
destiny. It's like revelation.
Yes. And he says to this is a Catholic, this Catholic newspaper, and he said to the Archbishop, give us your wisdom. Wow, crazy. Which wisdom? The new President of France is a zombie Catholic.
Catholic zombie.
Catholic zombie. Interesting also. Why Macron is flirting with the church? President and the Pope meet for the first time. Also interesting in crooks. The visit, yes, the visit of the Pope by a French leader. Is it a return in the house for the older, yes, older daughters of the church?
This is what the Vatican calls France.
Yes, exactly.
It's a name of France for
Because
Catholics.
why France is called the oldest daughter of the church? Because of Clovis.
Clovis.
And what Clovis has done in 508. Crazy. Because in 508, Clovis gave. Oh, you were not. You was
No,
not
no,
here yet.
yeah,
What's happened in a few seconds? Clovis received the highest title in the Roman Empire, the title of consul, and he received a coat.
Right.
This coat, this title, he gave to the papacy.
Right.
So you have a transfer from Clovis to the papacy.
All right.
And
Okay.
he gave the papacy the army, right, in 538? Was that 538?
It was Belizer army who delivers Rome. Okay, you have also here some quotation. 1 second. Okay, here you have the confirmation of the quote. So Macron receives the title of
Chanoine de la
Chanoine de la France, which is a very high. This is a title given by the papacy to president, and Macron accepted it. And when they receive it, they accept to serve.
So that's the Clovis situation again, right?
Clovis connection again?
That's a Clovis situation again when it's
Yes.
This investment.
In a certain manner, yes. Okay. So, in accepting this, he accepts to become a legate of the Pope, and comment dire, jurer, swear to defend the Church. So you know, it's something very important.
It's an oath.
It's an oath. Yes, exactly.
That was Macron or François Hollande?
François
C'est
Hollande.
That
Macron.
was François
Yeah,
Hollande.
François Hollande before, and Macron has done the same.
Hmm.
Okay. Okay, so in the Macron defends the Paris Agreement. And what was the Paris Agreement? It was a way of putting papacy in front of the world as the only solution regarding climate change. Laudato Si has been the man behind Laudato Si was a former president and former man who was in charge of Potsdamer Institute, and this guy has settled all the agenda, and through this agenda, the Pope has written Laudato Si. So very interesting. And this guy is putting forward what we can call climate apocalypse. Because when people fear something, they are able to accept whatever the solution.
Yes, I can imagine.
So you put fear. But what's behind and what it's as a root of the problem, it's not climate change. There is only one thing, it's Revelation 7, that God is taking the winds back, but when it will release, okay, this is the only explication we have regarding global warming and climate change. There is no other explanation. But they have found the right path to bring Sunday law.
So we can say thank you to the yellow jackets because they're trying to stop Macron.
Okay, so we continue. Okay, so it's the same. Okay, it was the address of the Pope with comment on dit les maires? Mayors. Oh, yes, sorry. Okay.
Mayors.
And we have what is interesting. We have in Paris a mayor. It's a woman called Anne Hidalgo. She's socialist. Okay, so there is no link between religion. They hate religion. But what Anne Hidalgo was in New York with in front of the Pope's speech, and now she put the agenda into practice, because you have in Paris it divided into 20 parts. In several parts already, she says that you don't have any right to drive your car on Sunday. It's
Oh,
already settled.
Yeah.
She's not Catholic at all, not at all. But she put the agenda of Pope Francis forward.
But if she's got no religious background, why then?
What?
If the social party lady's got no religious inclination,
Yes.
why would she push the Pope agenda?
And what says people are so afraid what is behind us that they are agree to mingle, to have agreement with the papacy.
To save the future sort of thing. Ish.
Okay, so we know this with the Pope agenda. So you have ASI Laudato Si and Sunday Connection. And this is a Catholic, National Catholic Reporter. It is important, and it is time now to put into practice a tax on CO2. So you can put any taxes, it will never change anything. Because it's not the right diagnosis. Okay, this is a very well-known Protestant former minister. Prime Minister, exactly. Rocard. Protestant. And in Paris Match, a well-known magazine newspaper, he says that Pope Francis can change the world. And he says that Pope Francis is the only solution regarding what we need to face. Okay, what is interesting, also Pope Francis put forward the agreement on migration. Okay, because if you put migrants all over Europe, you dilute the problem. And you put forward some other problems that people will think as the most important and other things.
So you work on the cover then?
Exactly. And
focusing.
Each time Catholic works with migration principle, they put Irish people into America. They put Spanish people into America.
Yes, the Irish migration, yeah. Yes, it is.
Those are more Catholic, right? Because
Yes.
they are more Catholic.
They are more Catholic, yes, exactly. And they dilute. Okay, so this is Huffington, you know Huffington Post?
Yes.
The title is Pope Francis wants to become the president of the world. It's Huffington Post. Okay, so okay. Okay. So our goal is we have in mind to print 10,000 copies of the Great Controversy and to distribute for free. So this is what we have in mind. Because I think now it's the time to distribute this book and to open people's mind, people's eyes. Even in France, you cannot imagine how people have opened their eyes with this book. Even in France, we can see sometimes that no, it's not. You don't have to distribute anymore this book. No, it's time to do it. It's time to do it.
Now there is a young Swedish girl called Greta Thunberg.
Yes.
She met the Pope. So if you are not won by that cause, you might be won because you find it so endearing to see a 11-year-old young girl trying to change the world. So you can see that that's to some extent another way to.
Okay, so what is also encouraging, Sam, that at the very beginning, France was touched by the gospel. So now we need to pray that France again will be touched by the gospel to finish the world. Because of the connection we have seen, now people have to see exactly what's behind the problem. And the papacy, as Laurent says, with the Jesuit, whatever, also work now in the darkness, and they are putting the agenda forward, and we are very close, very, very close to the end. I don't know when. God only knows. But it's very short, very, very short.
Are you sharing that with the church?
Can you email us?
The second part of the Yellow Jacket prophecy history I've put on YouTube.
Okay, very good.
And there is maybe around a little bit less than 10,000 connections, and most of them are evangelicals. Most of them.
What about for the church, for the Adventist?
For the church also, some, yes. Yes.
Very good.
Under which title did you put the other one on YouTube?
I can give you an account. I have in my car. It's it's Laurent. It's my first name because at the beginning I have my own email address, and I wanted to create a YouTube channel, and YouTube proposed my first name and a number. And I say, okay, I'll create and I will change after. But the problem, I didn't change, and it still is the same today. So it's Laurent 5243.
But if you want, you just simply send a mail to ASI Europe and we'll forward it. I have them too.
You have more than 300 videos. You have some English, French. We have invited coming out ministries, which is former homosexual, transgender, etc. We have, and in the next 2 weeks, I will put there is 20 presentation, both English and French. This is great.
On that site.
On this website. Yes. And there was one video I will present. I think tomorrow, maybe tomorrow, the ministry. One video. There was 100,000 connection, and I've seen people from everywhere, from Tibet, from all French-speaking countries and non-speaking countries. So with the internet, we can go in every house, and this is a powerful tool.
About this presentation, can
Yes.
you forward it somehow?
Yes.
Can you email it and then?
I can, if you can send me an email.
Yeah.
Give me your number. I have some cards. If you want a copy of this, I give you the card. You send me an email, and I will send you in a few days.
C'est Laurent 5243.
5243.
5243.
So pray for France for this project, because this is a huge challenge. I'm also in connection in Switzerland. Last year and the year before, I made a crusade with the travelers. And you have a few travelers, Adventist travelers. This is, for me now, it's my family. It's beautiful. And also through them, through their network, we want to also distribute some French Greek controversy in Switzerland.
On parle. Je suis en Suisse.
Tu es en Suisse?
Ouais.
Tu es en Suisse aussi? You are also in Switzerland.
Et je connais un couple qui est dans notre église aussi qui distribue la tragédie ici aussi.
But now I just want to let you, for you to have something in mind. I just finished this morning the correction of this book. It's, I don't know if you know Denis Priebe. Denis Priebe is for me one of the best theologians in the Adventist Church. It's beautiful. And Denis Priebe mentioned a guy, I didn't pay attention because he's not Adventist, but he said Denis Priebe on the same time that Ellen White, the guy in South Africa, received the same message that Jones and Wagner. And this book is total, absolute surrendering. Abandon total. I encourage you to download this book in English, so in French it will be ready. Absolute surrendering.
Total surrender.
Oh, no, in English it's absolute surrender. Sorry, absolute surrender. Sorry, absolute surrender.
So you have enough copies in France, or you
In
have
France,
it on your
we will
website?
print, or you can, I can send you for free.
Le nom c'est
De quel nom?
Andrew Murray.
Andrew Murray. Andrew Murray.
Tennis.
Andrew Murray.
Yeah.
Comme le tennisman.
Comme le, voilà, exactement.
Yeah, I know that is.
Okay, this book, it's one of the books you need to read, because for me it's it's A4 format. This format, you have 84 pages. You have keys to prepare. Sometimes we ask God to receive the Holy Spirit for this project, this. Okay, it's a no. We miss the point. The first thing we need to ask, to plead for, is to ask the Holy Spirit to destroy the high in us, and to be completely surrendered in the hand of Christ and Jesus. This is the only solution. And then after, we will not go forward by our own strength, but because God is asking us to go in this. Please also pray. In 1 week, there is a big challenge with the ministry frontline. We have a huge challenge with a crusade in Mongolia. God has opened a door in Mongolia, and this is a big challenge because Mongolia is one of the hardest, but one of the hardest countries in the world to preach the gospel.
So you
And
go
we have,
in there.
yes, for 2 evangelistic presentations, very specific. I will tell you the main framework is DNA, history, and archaeology. So what's the link? Oh, it's so powerful. Just just few.
In a nutshell.
Voilà.
Teaser.
A teaser.
Teaser.
You know that this place in North Africa is the same place. It's fully involved in shamanism. contact with the spirit. And so you think that there is no way of touching these people because they are fully involved in shamanism. Okay, but before shamanism, what was there? Was something. You have one of the oldest East monument there in the west of, I think the west of America. I've just received last week. I please forgot to receive since 4 years, and last week I received it. This monument is crazy. One of the worldwide specialists of this, you have 3 worldwide specialists of this monument, and she made an interview and she comments this monument, and she says, you know, it's inscription graven in stones. We call petroglyph. Okay, so the first petroglyph, she said, okay, this is the creation of Adam and Eve. This is the creation of the fall of Lucifer. This is the petroglyph of the return of Christ, and just before the return of Christ, there is a big time of trouble. This is the petroglyph of the 10 Commandments, and here, the Sabbath. They never had any Bible with them, never. But all the plan of salvation is written in stones. Jesus has said that at the end of time, stones will cry out. Stones are starting to cry.
So where is this monument? In America?
In America.
In America?
In Idaho.
Idaho.
So this is just a glimpse that you have the same with China, because all the Chinese characters, they are connected, fully connected with the gospel, with the Genesis. And it seems to be the same in Japan. I've just received also another document for Japan, it's the same, etc. So what, for me, what I have in mind, it's that at the very beginning, during the apostle time, they take Jesus' order to go everywhere, to preach the gospel. They take it, comment dire, à la lettre.
Yes.
To the letter.
To the letter? Okay. Okay, they take it to the letter, and they go everywhere. They go in Africa. They go. Thomas, we have a proof that Thomas went into India, and from India, he died as a martyr, and his message spread in all Asia, in India, in Russia, in Mongolia, in China, after in Japan and Philippines. Wow. And we have discovered in 1625, Jesuits has discovered a stone, and this stone is dated from 60, 80, something like this, and it's a confession of faith of a general called Olopen, and he says, I believe in one true God, and he observes the Sabbath. All the connection we have. The stone are going to cry, and I started to cry. Are we hearing? Because the problem we can have, because in each churches of Revelation, God says, happy or happy are those who hear what the Spirit has to say. The problem is if we are not able to hear it, we are in trouble. And just to finish, to give you an idea of what could be our situation, if I take your phone, I call you. No, I will not take, but I will explain it. I call you. If I call you, you will hear the ring. Okay. If now I take aluminium leaf, I put your phone and I put around aluminium. I call you. There is nothing. Nothing will happen. Keep in mind, it's exactly what the sin is going to do. If we are not able to destroy, to get out aluminium or sin, we will not be able to hear the Spirit. So this is what now is the time to be prepared as never. As never.
To allow Jesus to take out sin out of our hearts.
Yes. Can we pray together?
Yeah.